Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, December 15th. We're looking at the TTC dashboard, crypto experiencing a bit of a pullback. Obviously, total crypto market cap down 2%, Bitcoin down 2.75%, ETH down 2.3%. Bitcoin daily sentiment 47 out of 100. ETH is right in the middle at 50 out of 100, and average daily sentiment right in the middle as well at about 51 out of 100. Total trading volume dropped a little bit down to 60, but we are headed into the weekend after an explosive week, so it doesn't shock me too much. Maybe people are taking a little break. Total tweet volume still up, so retail is active. Nothing too crazy on the TTC dashboard, but again, a lot of low caps are pumping, so worth keeping an eye on those. And very mixed stablecoin exchange flows. Definitely a little bit more outflows than inflows, but not by too much of a wide margin. So looking at Bitcoin daily sentiment, let's make sure both of these are fully up to date. It is very flat. The good news is, we have not dropped below the 40 level at all throughout the week. So that's certainly positive. If we were below 40, I would start to get worried, but we're just kind of flat. And price obviously consolidating, so not too worried there. And very similar for ETH as well. We did, slightly dip below 40 to 39, but strong recovery there. And now we're just kind of flat, hovering around that 50 level. So again, without really dipping below 40, I'm not too concerned on the sentiment side of things. It does look interesting though. A lot more trading volume for ETH than compared to Bitcoin. Well, I guess, in terms of a percentage basis, obviously Bitcoin is more than ETH in terms of tweet volume, and I'm sorry, I said trading volume. I'm talking about tweet volume here. So ETH is starting to get a lot more chatter, which I do find interesting. If we do head into a next leg, that could be a narrative to follow, especially with the ETH ETF news kind of being something that I'm sure will crop up in and around the Bitcoin ETF news. So DXY did recover from its dip yesterday below the 102.4 support, but look where it is getting caught, right just above that support level, right around the lows of Tuesday 28th. So this would be a critical juncture. If we make it back above, if we confirm above these lows, we'll probably end up heading to 103.2, maybe all the way up to 103.6. And then if we end up getting rejected from this level, then the first stop would obviously be these lows right here at 101.7. And then the next stop would be down here at 101. So we probably won't see too much action at DXY until next week. But definitely important to keep an eye on this for kind of risk on, risk off. Obviously, if we start to inch higher, definitely, supports, maybe not an explosive rally, maybe more consolidating. So it's a tougher time for risk assets to have fun if this is inching up. So we would definitely prefer it to drop back down. Looking at equities, we are, just consolidating. We did say, we want to stay above this 47.15 level in a perfect world, but as long as we're above 4,700 overall, that nice clean number, which obviously we had a nice little rejection off of that level, or I guess, support, however you kind of, whether you're bullish or bearish, rejection if you're bearish, nice little support catch if you're bullish. So again, grand scheme of things, still making higher lows, right? And we can draw one here. So as long as we stay above 14.7, or as long as we stay above 47.15, I would expect us to head up to 47.50 and or higher into next week. If we drop below 47.15, 4,700 is pretty much my first level of interest. And then dropping below that, it does get a little bit hairy, but we can still make a higher low above 46.45. So we still have, basically three zones to hold equities up. One is here at 47.15, 4,700, then 46.45 if things get hairy. So now we're going to move over to crypto, and we did get a question from new type in the chat. Is Dash getting any more tweet volume? Dash had some upgrade to its network, I believe. So we'll run back to the TTC dashboard and let's check out Dash. So it does not look like too much action. Definitely picked up recently. I'm not entirely sure when that network or upgrade would have been. Maybe it was, kind of around this heightened sentiment, but heightened sentiment at these lows definitely did lead to some increased price action. So it went from, its low at about 32 up to a high of, just about 34. So not a bad trade there. Sentiment is obviously picking up again. So if we can sustain above 50 sentiment, definitely would keep Dash on the radar. And again, if we can see from the price chart, it made this low. Now it's been making higher lows. So as long as it stays above this low right here, so as long as it stays above 31 point, or I'm sorry, as long as it stays above 32.1, and Dash should still continue higher. Obviously, we're going to discuss Bitcoin and ETH and what we're thinking about that. But anytime you see sustained sentiment above 50, it's usually good news. So definitely would keep an eye on that one. Now we move to Bitcoin. So obviously we had our typical lines drawn for the early session. We did drop below the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, and we dropped, near these lows from yesterday. We did not tag those lows. So I'm gonna get rid of this because, obviously that happened. The way I'm looking at things is above the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. I would expect, 43K flats. Above 43K flats, we can start talking about, 43.7, 43.8, my apologies, excuse me. And then below this low, if we make it below this low, then we would probably start to just target the Monday low, which is right down here. So the Monday range, right, is 40.2 all the way up to 43.8. So as long as, from a weekly perspective, because again, we're thinking about market structure, right? So, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and normalize this chart, but in the grand scheme of things, you've got, you're just forming higher lows, right? And we didn't really, form any lows. We kind of think about these as lows in the grand scheme of things. So then we pulled back, right? We're still above, a lot of these bounce levels. So everything is still good from a market structure standpoint. So as long as we stay above the Monday low, then everything is absolutely fine from, a weekly perspective and even a daily perspective as well, because we're still forming higher lows from the Monday low, right? So, from a market structure perspective, everything does look fine. Pullbacks are not fun, but it's not, worrying me too much yet. I will get worried if we close a candle beneath this low from Monday. That is what will worry me. So as long as we're above that, it's fine in my opinion. Right now, it's tough to really park a trade. You could, if you really wanted to, add a long position for Bitcoin because you do have defined risk, right? You can either set your stop at this low from today because, we've kind of come off that low, but the issue is we're under the weekly VWAP, right? So then you could set your stop down here to the Thursday low, which gives you 1.2% risk for 3.5% gain. Not the worst trade in the world, but if anybody's watching who's watched me for a while, you know that I like that confirmation of breaking above, a critical level, especially if I'm bullish. So what I'd like to see to get in a long is break above that weekly VWAP right here, which is pretty much sitting at 42K flat. So if we can get above 42K, then I think a long up towards 43, maybe towards 44, is plausible in my opinion. So I'm not in any trades right now, but if BTC gets above 42, I'm definitely going to probably try and play that up to at least 43, maybe higher. Now, the short is a little bit, it's too ugly in my opinion, because where would you set your stops? You could set it right here, at the weekly VWAP, but that is a opportunity, but in my opinion, probably not the best opportunity in the world, because so your first trade target would be right here, and then your next one would be here, and then obviously down here at the Monday low. So if you're trading that now, then you're risking 0.3 to make 1.2, possibly risking 0.3 to make 3. But in the grand scheme of things, we've not really, we technically did make a lower high here. But we're in a scenario where we could also form a higher low. So the risk reward for a short, in my opinion, is not the best. I think the long opportunity above a break of 42K, definitely the best option. And then obviously, heading into the weekend, heading into next week, If we can get above this level right here, and then we have a really good chance to break above the Monday high. If you break above the Monday high, then you can get back up to the local highs, and then obviously above the local highs is when you can run higher. So it's going to be a little choppy. It's going to be a little, difficult, I think, to kind of trade this range. But again, in the grand scheme of things, we are making higher lows on lower time frames, and we're making them on higher time frames. So I'm not worried about Bitcoin until we break beneath the Monday low, which seems unlikely at this juncture. So again, I think longs are going to look good provided Bitcoin gets above this 42K level. So looking at the ETH BTC chart to start, just because I think, this level is very interesting. You've got 3 equal lows right here. So we've got a triple tap. So typically a triple tap will lead you back up to the range high, which in this scenario would be this high right here. So this is why also, again, we talked about, ETH, getting more tweet volume than Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin has more trading volume, but also Bitcoin's trading volume dripping a little bit more than ETH's trading volume is as well. So I'm not completely sold on ETH outperforming BTC yet, but I think this is the best chance it's had in a while, in my opinion. And so if we can get above the 0.054 level, we'll make it up to the 0.055 level. And above the 0.055 level, we have a good chance to get up to 0.058. So that'll be what I'm kind of looking for. And obviously a rejection off of 0.054 will send us right back down to 0.051. So that's a good way to just kind of think about, ETH right now, or at least ETH in comparison to Bitcoin. So let's move back to the ETH chart. Sorry for all of the noise on the chart right there, but ETH is pretty simple in my opinion. Beneath the weekly VWAP, which also coincides with the low from Thursday, we will drop back down to 2190. Below 2190, you're back down to the Monday low. And although ETH is a chop fest and very annoying chart compared to Bitcoin, if you look at it from a higher time frame, what are we making? Higher lows, right? We did make this little lower high, but we're still making higher lows in the grand scheme of things. So until we make a new lower low, I'm not too concerned. So ETH, very similarly to Bitcoin, I am not worried unless it breaks below the Monday low. And a break means confirmation, because these little wicks down here from Tuesday and Wednesday, certainly not a break in my opinion. So for ETH, if it holds the weekly VWAP, you have, again, very decent long, just like Bitcoin. So you would be possibly risking 0.7% to make anywhere between 3 and 4%. So hold the weekly VWAP. Obviously, you've got this 1 hour estimated 200 moving average to contend with, but don't think that's going to be too much of a problem for this kind of trade. And then if you make it above 2276, you can get up to 2300, and then above 2300, 2330, and then above 2330, you get the Monday high at 2356. And then above that, you can start talking about breaking above the local highs from December 9th, which are 2400, and then moving up to 2440 and beyond. So again, what I talked about this week, I'm confident we will see higher price action into the end of the year. It's just a matter of how low we go first and what kind of chop we see. We did see our low on Monday. We've not gone lower for Bitcoin or Ethereum since Monday. Both are obviously selling off today. If you're kind of wondering why equities and crypto look a little weird today, one of the Fed governors came out and said that they didn't think there was any need to rush into rate cuts. Obviously, Jerome Powell is the head of the Fed, so whatever he says goes. So I would take his words a little bit more seriously than one governor out of many who don't have decision making like Jerome Powell does, decision making powers like Jerome Powell does. So definitely would take that with a grain of salt. And I think that's why the markets are reacting negatively, but not really too negatively. It's just kind of enough negatively to send us to the low end of the daily range, which is obviously 41.5, 41.6 for Bitcoin, and same for equities, right? Send us just beneath the previous daily close, but obviously still hanging above the weekly low, right? So if it was really bearish, we'd probably be below the weekly low right now for Bitcoin, ETH, and equities. So everything is holding its weekly low. Doesn't mean we can't, on a random sell off, meet that Monday low again before the end of the week. But again, we're sitting in mid range right now. Bitcoin's trying to get back above its weekly VWAP. ETH is currently above its weekly VWAP. Again, also sitting in the mid range. Equities are holding on. DXY is, again, we got to keep a good lookout for this because it could definitely confirm above 102.4, 102.5. But that's what's kind of making me a little bit weary to enter any longs. Like, I don't think spot buys here for any assets are the worst heading into the end of the year. But if you're using leverage, I think you can probably chill out until you get a really good confirmation for a trade. So I'm definitely looking at Bitcoin confirming above 42 for a possible long into Saturday and Sunday. And then if we do, again, if we sweep the Monday low, I'll do, enter my trade on that sweep with a stop at below. And then obviously if we move up, I want to see it confirm above the Monday high. And if we confirm above the Monday high, we should see good things come out of it. So that being said, I'm going to head out of here. If you're not in the TTC community, please join us. That's where all of the daily research goes, trade ideas, market commentary, general updates, whatever's going on in the market that we see, we share with you guys. You see, and so you can join us at www.tradethechain.com. There's a 14-day free trial. Get access to everything you need with that 14-day free trial. And we'd love to see you in there. So that being said, good luck. Happy trading. See everybody on Monday.